Howdy folks, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to journey into the amazing world of bees and ants. These little critters might seem insignificant at first glance, but don't let their size fool you. They're packed with wisdom and hold a powerful message for us, one that's been whispered about for centuries in sacred texts and ancient stories. We see them buzzing around our gardens, going about their business. But have you ever stopped to ponder the deeper meaning behind their tireless work ethic? These tiny titans of the natural world, with their intricate societies and unwavering dedication, offer us a glimpse into the divine order of life. Now, you might be thinking, what in the world can we learn from bugs? Well, hold on to your hats, folks, because we're about to dive deep into the spiritual significance of bees and ants. Their stories, as told in religious texts and observed in nature, reveal profound truths about self-sufficiency, divine inspiration, and the interconnectedness of all things. Reflect on these verses from the Quran. God say, "And your Lord inspired the bee, saying, build yourselves houses in the mountains and trees and what people construct." Surah An-Nahl, verse 68. Al-Nahl means bee. The Quran, for instance, speaks of how God inspired the bees to build their homes and create their golden honey. And the Bible, too, uses ants as an example of hard work and preparation. These ancient texts recognize the inherent wisdom within these creatures, seeing them as more than just pests or pollinators. Now let's turn our attention to the bee, a creature that's captivated humankind for centuries. We find them buzzing from flower to flower, their tiny bodies humming with purpose. But there's something truly special about these little pollinators, something that goes beyond their role in nature. You see, the Quran tells us that God himself inspired the bees, guiding them to create their intricate hives and produce their golden honey. It's like they've got a direct line to the divine, receiving instructions on how to live in harmony and abundance. And you know what? When you look at the way bees operate, it's hard to argue with that notion. They're the epitome of hard work, dedication, and self-sufficiency, traits that have long been associated with spiritual growth and connection. Now let's talk about productivity, folks, because bees are the undisputed champions of getting things done. They don't waste time dilly-dallying or complaining about the weather. No, sir, they're up before the sun, zipping from blossom to blossom, collecting nectar with unmatched enthusiasm. And what do they do with all that sweet, sweet nectar? They transform it, through a combination of hard work and natural alchemy, into that liquid gold we call honey. It's a process that's both fascinating and inspiring, a testament to the power of transformation and the abundance that comes from focused effort. Think about it. Bees take something simple, something readily available in nature, and turn it into something truly extraordinary. They're master alchemists, transforming the ordinary into the extraordinary, all through the sweat of their tiny brows. Section 3. Organized chaos. The hive mind at work. Now, you might look at a beehive and think, well, that's just a whole lot of chaos. But trust me, folks, there's a method to their madness. Bees are masters of organization, with each member of the hive playing a specific role in the smooth running of their society. You've got your worker bees, your drones, your queen bee, each one with a job to do, and they do it with unwavering dedication. It's like a well-oiled machine, a symphony of activity where every note, every buzz, every movement serves a purpose. And the way they communicate, it's nothing short of remarkable. Through a combination of intricate dances and pheromone signals, they share information about the location of food sources, potential threats, and the overall health of the hive. It's like they've got their own secret language, a language that speaks volumes about the power of collaboration and community. Section 4. The golden elixir honey and its symbolic sweetness. Now, let's talk about honey for a moment, shall we? This golden elixir, produced by the tireless efforts of our little buzzing friends, is more than just a sweetener for your tea. It's a symbol of abundance, of sweetness, of the rewards that come from hard work and dedication. In many cultures, honey is seen as a gift from the divine, a taste of heaven here on earth. It's used in religious ceremonies, offered as a symbol of hospitality, and cherished for its medicinal properties. And let's be honest, folks, who doesn't love a spoonful of honey in their tea or drizzled over a warm biscuit? But beyond its culinary and cultural significance, honey represents something deeper, something more profound. It's a reminder that even in the midst of life's challenges, there's always sweetness to be found, always abundance to be harvested, if we're willing to put in the work. Section 5. Beyond the hive bees as messengers of divine wisdom. So, as we've seen, bees are much more than just insects. They're architects, alchemists, master communicators, and, dare I say, spiritual messengers. They teach us about the importance of hard work, dedication, and community. They remind us that even the smallest of creatures can achieve extraordinary things when they work together towards a common goal. And, perhaps most importantly, they show us that divine inspiration is all around us if we're only open to receiving it. Just like the bees receive guidance from a higher power, so too can we tap into that same source of wisdom and guidance to create a life of abundance, purpose, and sweetness. So the next time you see a bee buzzing by, take a moment to appreciate the profound lessons it has to offer. Listen to the whispers of wisdom carried on its tiny wings, and allow yourself to be inspired by its unwavering dedication to its purpose. Section 6. The bee's perspective, a glimpse into a higher realm. Now imagine for a moment, if you will, that you could see the world through the eyes of a bee. What would you see? What would you feel? Would you see the world as a place of scarcity and competition? Or would you see it as a boundless garden, overflowing with abundance and opportunity? Perhaps, from the bee's perspective, the world is a symphony of scents and colors, a place where every flower holds the promise of sweet nectar, and every ray of sunshine is a beacon of hope and possibility. Maybe, just maybe, the bees are privy to a higher realm of existence, a realm where divine inspiration flows freely and the interconnectedness of all things is readily apparent. And if that's the case, then perhaps we have much to learn from these tiny creatures. Perhaps by emulating their work ethic, their dedication to community, and their unwavering faith in the abundance of the universe, we too can tap into that same divine inspiration and create a life that is both sweet and fulfilling. Section 1. The Ant's Tale. A different kind of wisdom. Now let's shift our focus to the humble ant, a creature that, while not as glamorous as the bee, holds its own unique brand of wisdom. We often see them scurrying around, these tiny specks of industry, always on the move, always working together. But unlike the bee, which creates its own sustenance from the nectar of flowers, the ant is a gatherer, a scavenger, reliant on the leftovers of others for survival. Now don't get me wrong, there's a certain ingenuity to their resourcefulness, a testament to their ability to adapt and make do with what they've got. But this reliance on external sources, this lack of self-sufficiency, points to a different kind of existence, one that's more earthbound, more focused on survival than on the creation of something new and beautiful. Section 2. Gathering crumbs, a life of dependence. Think about it. The ant spends its days scurrying around, gathering up whatever scraps it can find, always at the mercy of the whims of others. It's a life of constant hustling, of making do with what's available, never quite reaching the level of abundance and self-reliance that the bee enjoys. Now, some folks might say, well, that's just the ant's way. They're meant to be gatherers, to clean up after the rest of us. And while there's some truth to that, I believe there's a deeper lesson to be learned here. A lesson about the importance of striving for something more than just survival. The ant's existence, in many ways, mirrors the human experience. We too can get caught up in the daily grind, in the constant struggle to make ends meet, forgetting that we're capable of so much more. Section 3. The Importance of Self-Reliance. A lesson from the ants. Now, I ain't saying that gathering and saving is a bad thing. Heck, we could all learn a thing or two from the ant's work ethic and its ability to prepare for the future. But there's a difference between being resourceful and being dependent. The bee, through its divine inspiration and its ability to transform nectar into honey, achieves a level of self-sufficiency that the ant can only dream of. It's not reliant on handouts or leftovers. It creates its own abundance, its own sweetness, through its own hard work and ingenuity. And that, my friends, is a powerful lesson for us all. We're all capable of tapping into that same divine inspiration, that same creative spark to build a life of abundance and purpose. But it requires us to shift our mindset, to move from a place of scarcity to a place of possibility. Section 4. The Valley of the Ants, a metaphorical landscape. In the Quran, there's a story about the prophet Solomon and his encounter with an ant colony. As Solomon and his army approach, one of the ants cries out, warning its brethren to take cover lest they be trampled underfoot. God say, "And when they came to the Valley of the Ants, one ant said, 'Ants, go into your homes in case Solomon and his hosts unwittingly crush you.'" Surah An-Naml. An-Naml means ants now. This story is often interpreted as a lesson in humility, a reminder that even the smallest of creatures deserves our respect. But I believe there's a deeper meaning here, one that speaks to the metaphorical landscape of our own lives. You see, the ants in this story are depicted as living in a valley, a place of low elevation, of limited perspective, of constant threat from the outside world. This valley, my friends, represents the lower levels of consciousness, the realm of scarcity, of fear, of dependence on external forces. It's a place where we can easily get stuck, our vision clouded by the dust of daily struggles, our spirits weighed down by the burden of our perceived limitations. Section 5. Breaking Free from the Valley, a Journey toward Self-Sufficiency. But here's the good news. Just like there's a valley of the ants, there's also a mountaintop of the bees, a place of higher elevation, of expansive views, of abundance and self-reliance. And the journey from one to the other, well, that's the journey of spiritual growth, of personal transformation, of tapping into our own divine inspiration, and creating a life that's truly our own. It's about shifting our focus from gathering crumbs to cultivating our own gardens, from relying on handouts to creating our own honey. It's about recognizing the divine spark within each of us and allowing it to guide us towards a life of purpose, abundance, and sweetness. Now, this journey ain't always easy. There'll be obstacles along the way, challenges to overcome, moments of doubt and uncertainty. But just like the ant that perseveres in carrying its load, we too must find the strength and determination to keep moving forward, to keep reaching for that higher ground. Section 6. Ants and bees, two sides of the same coin. Now, I don't want to paint the ant as the villain of the story. They play a vital role in the ecosystem, just like every other creature. And as we've discussed, they teach us valuable lessons about hard work, preparation, and community. But the contrast between the ant and the bee highlights the different paths available to us in this life. The ant, with its focus on survival and its reliance on external sources, represents the material world, the realm of scarcity and competition. The bee, on the other hand, with its divine inspiration, its creativity, and its self-sufficiency, represents the spiritual realm, the realm of abundance and limitless potential. And just like a coin needs both sides to be whole, so too do we need to find a balance between these two aspects of ourselves. We need the ant's practicality and work ethic to navigate the challenges of the material world. But we also need the bee's vision, its connection to something greater, to lift our spirits and guide us towards a life of purpose and fulfillment. Section 1, Celestial Buzz, Earthly Hustle, two different frequencies. Now, y'all ever notice how the world seems to vibrate at different speeds? Like, some folks are always in a hurry, rushing from one thing to the next, while others seem to move through life with a certain grace and ease. Well, I believe our little friends, the bee and the ant, represent two distinct frequencies of existence, each with its own rhythm and purpose. The ant, bless its heart, operates on an earthly frequency, one that's grounded in the physical world, in the here and now. It's all about survival, about gathering and storing, about protecting the colony from immediate threats. And there's a certain beauty to that, a certain honesty in its simplicity. But the bee hums to a different tune altogether. It's connected to something higher, something beyond the realm of mere survival. It's guided by an unseen force, a divine whisper that directs its flight path and inspires its work. Section 2, the ant's blueprint, earthly dimensions of existence. Now let's not judge the ant for its earthly ways. After all, we humans share many of its tendencies. We get caught up in the daily grind, in the pursuit of material possessions, in the fear of scarcity. We build our little anthills, our comfort zones, and we scurry around within them, gathering our crumbs and protecting our territory. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. We all need a place to call home, a sense of security and belonging. But the danger lies in mistaking the anthill for the entire world, in limiting our vision to the confines of our immediate surroundings. The ant's blueprint, you see, is designed for survival, not necessarily for expansion. It's about maintaining the status quo, not about reaching for new heights. And while that strategy might serve it well in the short term, it can also lead to stagnation, to a life devoid of inspiration and true fulfillment. Section 3, the bee's flight plan, navigating by divine compass. The bee, on the other hand, operates from a different set of blueprints altogether. Its flight plan is guided by an internal compass, a divine intuition that leads it to the sweetest nectar, the most vibrant blossoms, the most auspicious locations for building its hive. It's not bound by the limitations of the anthill mentality. It sees the bigger picture, the interconnectedness of all things, the abundance that's available when we align ourselves with the flow of divine inspiration. And that's the key difference, my friends. The ant relies on its own limited understanding, its own hard work and determination to navigate the world, but the bee, it surrenders to something greater, something that knows the way, something that whispers secrets on the wind and guides its every move. Section 4, from seed to sprout, a lesson in transformation. Now, some folks might say, well, that's all well and good, but we ain't bees. We can't just fly around and magically create honey. And you're right, we ain't bees in the literal sense. But we do possess that same divine spark, that same potential for transformation and creation. Think about it. The bee takes something simple, something readily available in nature, nectar. And through a combination of hard work and divine inspiration, it transforms it into something extraordinary, honey. It's a process of alchemy, of taking the raw materials of life and molding them into something precious and valuable. And we humans, we're capable of that same kind of alchemy. We might not produce honey in the literal sense, but we can take our talents, our passions, our experiences, and through the power of focused intention and divine guidance, we can transform them into something beautiful, something meaningful, something that nourishes ourselves and the world around us. Section 5, the honeycomb and the anthill, reflections of our choices. So the next time you encounter an ant or a bee, take a moment to observe its ways. Reflect on the choices you make in your own life. Are you building an anthill or a honeycomb? Are you focused on survival or on expansion? Are you living in fear and scarcity, or are you open to the abundance that the universe has to offer? The choice, my friends, is always ours. We can choose to operate from an earthly frequency, focused on the material world and the limitations of our perceived reality. Or we can choose to tune into a higher frequency, one that's guided by divine inspiration, one that sees the world as a boundless garden of possibilities. It's not about judging one path as better than the other. It's about recognizing that we have the power to choose, to create the life we desire, to align ourselves with the frequency that resonates most deeply with our souls. Section 6, beyond the valley, above the hive, a journey of expansion. So, let us venture beyond the valley of the ants, above the confines of the hive, and into the vast expanse of our own limitless potential. Let us embrace the bee's flight plan, guided by the divine compass within our hearts. Let us become alchemists of our own lives, transforming our experiences into honey, our dreams into reality, our challenges into opportunities for growth and expansion. And let us remember that we are not alone on this journey. The divine whispers are always present, guiding us, supporting us, reminding us that we are capable of achieving anything we set our minds and hearts to. Section 1. The sweetness of self-sufficiency. Well, folks, we've journeyed deep into the world of bees and ants, explored their unique characteristics, and uncovered the spiritual lessons they embody. We've seen how the bee, with its divine inspiration and industrious spirit, teaches us about self-sufficiency, the power of transformation, and the sweetness that comes from aligning ourselves with our true purpose. We've also pondered the ant's way of life, its tireless work ethic, and its focus on gathering and storing. And while the ant's approach might not be as glamorous as the bee's, it reminds us of the importance of preparation, community, and making the most of the resources available to us. But ultimately, the message I want to leave you with today is this: we have the power to choose our own path, to create a life that's in alignment with our values and aspirations. We can choose to operate from a place of fear and scarcity, like the ant confined to its valley, or we can embrace the bee's perspective, one of abundance, divine inspiration, and limitless possibility. Section 2. Building our own honeycombs. Now, I ain't saying we should all quit our jobs and become beekeepers, although, if that's your calling, honey, go for it. But what I am suggesting is that we can all benefit from incorporating some of the bee's wisdom into our own lives. What are your passions, your gifts, your unique talents? How can you use them to create something sweet and nourishing for yourself and the world around you? Maybe it's starting that business you've always dreamed of, writing that book that's been swirling around in your head, or simply finding more ways to share your gifts with your community. Remember, folks, life ain't just about surviving, it's about thriving. It's about finding those things that make your heart sing, that light you up from the inside out, and pursuing them with passion and purpose. Section 3. Finding the rhythm of divine inspiration. Now you might be wondering, well, that's all fine and dandy, but how do I tap into this divine inspiration you speak of? And that, my friends, is the million-dollar question, isn't it? There's no one-size-fits-all answer, but I believe it starts with quieting the mind, with creating space for stillness and reflection in our busy lives. Spend time in nature, listen to your intuition, pay attention to those subtle nudges and whispers that guide you towards your true path. And don't be afraid to experiment, try new things, step outside your comfort zone and see what sparks joy and ignites your soul. You never know where inspiration might be hiding, just waiting for you to discover it. Section 4. The dance of interdependence. Now, let's not forget about the importance of community, of connection, of supporting each other on this journey of life. Just like the bees in a hive, we're all interconnected, each playing our part in the grand symphony of existence. Reach out to others, share your gifts, and be open to receiving the support and inspiration that others have to offer. Remember, folks, we don't have to do this alone. There's strength in numbers, wisdom in collaboration, and joy in shared experiences. So let's build bridges instead of walls. Let's celebrate our differences and find common ground. And let's create a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive, to shine their light brightly, and to share their unique gifts with the world. Section 5. Embracing the wisdom of the tiny teachers. As we conclude our exploration of the divine wisdom of bees and ants, let us remember that even the smallest of creatures can teach us profound lessons about life, about ourselves, and about our place in the grand scheme of things. Let us approach the world with a sense of curiosity, with an open mind and an open heart, and let us never underestimate the wisdom that can be found in the most unexpected places. For within the intricate dance of nature, within the bustling hive and the industrious anthill, lie secrets that can unlock our own potential and guide us towards a life of purpose, abundance, and joy. So, the next time you encounter a bee buzzing among the flowers or an ant diligently going about its work, take a moment to pause, to observe, and to listen. For within their tiny bodies and their intricate societies lie whispers of wisdom, waiting to be heard, waiting to guide us towards our own unique expression of greatness. Section 6. Until next time, keep buzzing and thriving. Well, folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you've enjoyed our little adventure into the world of bees and ants. Remember, life's a journey, not a destination. So, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep shining your light brightly. And until next time, y'all, keep buzzing and thriving.